Welcome back, dear friends and story lovers. Tonight, we bring you a tale where love is tested, secrets come to light, and fate takes an unexpected turn. Every moment will pull you in deeper, and every choice could change everything.
Tell us.
Where you're watching from in the comments, and if this story touches your heart, like, subscribe, share it with someone who believes in true love, and hit the bell so you never miss the next chapter. The industrial cleaning solution hit the marble floor with a sharp crack, the glass bottle exploding into 1,000 glittering fragments. Luna Hayes stared at the spreading puddle of chemical cleaner, her heart sinking as the acrid smell filled. The observatory room, perfect, she whispered, crouching carefully to avoid the glass. The solution was already eating through her gray uniform, the fabric darkening where it touched her skin. The chemical burned slightly, a warning that she needed to act fast. Above her, the domed glass ceiling of the Montenegro Estate's observatory caught the afternoon sunlight, casting prismatic rainbows across walls worth more than most people's entire lives. Luna had been cleaning this room for exactly 3 days, still marveling at the telescope that probably cost more than her sister's college tuition. The nearest staff bathroom was 2 floors down. She glanced at her cleaning cart where a spare uniform hung neatly folded. Mrs. Winters had drilled into her the importance of always being prepared, always being professional. The estate's owner, Gabriel Montenegro, was notorious for his exacting standards. Luna moved behind the large sculptural piece in the corner, a twisted metal creation that provided privacy from the room's main entrance.
Ow.
She could hear the ocean, crashing against the cliffs below, the sound muffled by the mansion's thick walls. The guest wing was always deserted during weekday afternoons, Mrs. Winters had assured her. She worked quickly, peeling the soaked fabric away from her burning skin. The solution had soaked through everything, requiring her to change completely. Luna focused on efficiency, on getting back to work, on keeping the job that would finally let her help Emma with school. 4 floors above, Gabriel Montenegro sat frozen at his desk, his finger hovering over the mouse. The security monitor showed the observatory camera feed, crystal clear and invasive. He'd been checking the perimeter sensors after a false alarm, methodically reviewing each camera when the unexpected scene appeared. Luna moved with innocent urgency, clearly believing she was completely alone. There was nothing intentional about her actions, nothing aware. She was simply a young woman dealing with an accident while trying to do her job. Gabriel's jaw clenched. The cameras were meant to protect his property, not violate his employees' privacy. In 5 years of obsessive security measures, he had never considered such a scenario. His finger trembled as he immediately closed the feed. Then he accessed the system controls, permanently deleting the footage from every server and backup drive. With deliberate precision, he disabled the observatory camera entirely. But the image was burned into his memory. Not the physical exposure, but something else. The way Luna had smiled yesterday when Mrs. Winters introduced them. Direct eye contact. With no calculation, no hidden agenda. In Gabriel's world of corporate sharks and social climbers, such genuine simplicity was rarer than diamonds. His intercom buzzed. "Mr. Montenegro, your 4 p.m. is here?" Gabriel stared at the blank security monitor, his carefully constructed world suddenly feeling fragile as the glass bottle Luna had dropped. "Cancel it," he said quietly, "and ask Mrs. Winters to send Luna Hayes to my office." Sir Gabriel's steel-gray eyes reflected the afternoon light streaming through his windows. For the first time in 5 years, he was about to break his own rules about employee interaction. "Tell her it's urgent." Luna's hands shook as she knocked on Gabriel Montenegro's office door. The mahogany felt cold against her knuckles, and she could hear her heartbeat echoing in the silence of the mansion's upper floors. 3 days of employment, and she was already being summoned by the billionaire himself? "Come in." His voice was deeper than she remembered, tinged with something she couldn't identify. Luna stepped into the office, immediately overwhelmed by floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Pacific, and walls lined with monitors displaying incomprehensible financial data. Gabriel stood behind his desk, perfectly tailored in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her annual salary. His dark hair was immaculate as always, but his steel-gray eyes held an intensity that made her stomach flutter with nervousness. "Luna Hayes," he said. Not quite a question. Yes, sir. Mrs. Winters said you needed to see me urgently. If I've done something wrong, I can explain about the broken bottle. I'll pay for any damage, of course. Gabriel's expression shifted almost imperceptibly. Sit down, please. Luna perched on the edge of a leather chair that seemed designed to dwarf visitors. Gabriel remained standing, his hands clasped behind his back as he moved to the window. How long have you been working cleaning services? He asked. 3 years, sir. Mostly office buildings downtown. This is my first residential position. Now, why did you take this job? Luna hesitated. In her experience, wealthy people didn't actually want honest answers to personal questions. But something in Gabriel's tone suggested he genuinely wanted to know. My sister Emma is starting college next year. The pay here is significantly better than my previous positions, and the benefits package is exceptional. I needed something that would allow me to help her. Gabriel turned from the window, studying her face. You're 26, no college degree. Yourself? I attended community college part-time while working 2 jobs. I completed an associate's degree in business administration. Luna lifted her chin slightly. I'm not ashamed of honest work, Mr. Montenegro. For the first time since entering the room, Gabriel's expression softened. My mother cleaned houses to put herself through nursing school. I have tremendous respect for honest work. The admission surprised them both. Gabriel never shared personal information with employees, never revealed the humble origins he'd fought so hard to transcend. There's something I need to discuss with you, he continued, moving around the desk to sit across from her. Earlier today, there was a security incident. Luna's face went pale. The broken bottle. I can explain, not the bottle. Gabriel leaned forward, his voice dropping to almost a whisper. The observatory room has a security camera. Had a security camera. I was reviewing footage when he paused, running a hand through his perfectly styled hair. When I inadvertently witnessed you changing your uniform, Luna's breath caught in her throat. The blood drained from her face completely. I want you to understand, Gabriel continued quickly, and I immediately deleted the footage, permanently, from every server and backup. The camera has been disabled entirely. Luna stared at him, unable to speak. Her worst nightmare had just been confirmed. She was going to be fired, possibly blackmailed, possibly worse. She'd heard stories about powerful men and vulnerable women. In situations like this, I'm telling you this, Gabriel said quietly, because I believe you have a right to know, because I want to apologize. The security system was designed to protect property, not invade privacy. This was an unacceptable violation, and I take full responsibility. Luna found her voice, barely above a whisper. Are you firing me? Gabriel's eyes widened slightly. Firing you? Luna, I'm trying to apologize to you. You did nothing wrong. But She swallowed hard. I compromised myself. In your house. I should have been more careful. You had an accident and handled it. As discreetly as possible, the failure was mine, not yours. Gabriel's voice carried a weight of sincerity that Luna had never heard from an employer. I'm also prepared to offer you additional compensation for this incident. Whatever amount would make you feel, no. Luna stood abruptly, her brown eyes flashing with something between anger and hurt. I don't want your money, Mr. Montenegro. I want to keep my job and pretend this never happened. Gabriel stood as well, surprised by her reaction. In his world, money solved everything. Compensation for violation, payment for silence, transactions that cleaned up messy human emotions. Luna, I understand you're upset, do you? She stepped closer to his desk, her small frame somehow radiating fierce dignity. Do you understand what it's like to work 3 jobs to keep a roof over your sister's head? To have someone finally offer you a chance at something better, only to find out they've seen you at your most vulnerable moment? Gabriel stared at her, struck speechless. No one had spoken to him like this in years. Not with such raw honesty, such unfiltered emotion. I need this job, Luna continued, her voice breaking slightly. But I need to know that when I walk through these halls, you're not thinking about what you saw. I need to know that I can work here with dignity. Gabriel moved around the desk until he was standing directly in front of her. Luna tilted her head back to meet his gaze, refusing to be intimidated despite the way her heart was racing. "I give you my word," he said quietly. "What happened today changes nothing about your employment. You have my respect, Luna Hayes. You've earned it." Their eyes held for a long moment, something unspoken passing between them. Luna nodded slowly, then turned toward the door. "Luna." Gabriel's voice stopped her with her hand on the handle. She looked back over her shoulder. "For what it's worth," he said, his voice barely audible, "I wish I had your courage." 2 weeks passed in careful silence. Luna cleaned the guest wing with mechanical precision while Gabriel buried himself in quarterly reports and acquisition deals. They moved through the mansion like ghosts, aware of each other but never crossing paths, until the night Luna found Gabriel bleeding on his office floor. She had stayed late to finish waxing the hallway floors, humming softly to herself as she worked. The executive wing was supposed to be empty after 8 p.m., but light spilled from beneath Gabriel's office door, and when she heard the crash of breaking glass, her training as an EMT kicked in before her common sense could stop her. Luna pushed through the door without knocking to find Gabriel slumped against his desk, blood streaming from a gash on his forehead. Shattered whiskey glass sparkled across the Persian rug, amber liquid soaking into the expensive fibers. "Mr. Montenegro." She dropped to her knees beside him, immediately checking his pupils for signs of concussion. "What happened?" Gabriel tried to focus on her face, his steel-gray eyes unfocused and glassy. "Luna, you shouldn't be here. You're bleeding. Hold still." She pressed her cleaning rag against the wound, applying pressure while scanning him for other injuries. The smell of alcohol was overwhelming, but not just from the broken glass. "How much have you been drinking?" "Not enough," Gabriel muttered, then winced as she probed the cut. Apparently not nearly enough. Luna's EMT training took over completely. She helped Gabriel to his chair, then raided his private bathroom for first aid supplies. As she cleaned and bandaged the wound, she noticed other details. The papers scattered across his desk, bearing legal letterheads. The words embezzlement and federal investigation jumped out at her. "You need stitches," she said quietly, stepping back to examine her work, "and you need to stop drinking tonight." Gabriel looked up at her, studying her face with an intensity that made her pulse quicken. "Why are you helping me?" "'Cause you're hurt." "That's not an answer. I'm your employer. I violated your privacy. You should hate me." Luna sank into the chair across from his desk, suddenly exhausted. "I was an EMT before I started cleaning offices. Before Emma got sick, and I had to choose between school and keeping insurance coverage for her treatments." Gabriel's expression shifted. "Sick? Mrs. Winters said Emma was in high school. She is. Was. She had leukemia." Luna's voice caught slightly. "She's in remission now, but the medical bills." She gestured helplessly. "That's why I need this job. Why I can't afford to hate you, even if I wanted to." The weight of her revelation settled between them. Gabriel leaned forward, his bandaged forehead creasing with concern. "Is she okay now?" "Emma, she's been cancer-free for 8 months. But she missed so much school, and the treatment was experimental and expensive." Luna's brown eyes met his. "Your insurance plan covered things that no other employer would. That's why I took this job, Mr. Montenegro. Not the pay. The insurance." Gabriel stared at her for a long moment, then laughed bitterly. "God, you're going to hate me even more after tomorrow." "What happens tomorrow?" Gabriel gestured to the legal documents scattered across his desk. "Federal agents are seizing Montenegro Industries' assets. My business partner, the one who nearly destroyed everything 5 years ago, turns out he's been embezzling millions through shell companies I never knew existed. They think I'm involved." Luna's eyes widened. "Are you?" "No, but I can't prove it. And when they freeze the company accounts tomorrow, every employee loses their job, including their insurance coverage." The words hit Luna like a physical blow. She sank back in the chair, the implications washing over her. Without insurance, Emma's follow-up treatments would be impossible. The monthly checkups that ensured the cancer stayed gone would bankrupt them. "How long have you known?" she whispered. "I got the call 3 hours ago. My lawyers think I might avoid criminal charges, but the company is finished. Everything I built, gone. Gabriel's voice was hollow. I've been sitting here trying to figure out how to tell 300 employees that they're about to lose everything. Because I trusted the wrong person? Luna stood slowly, moving to the window where Gabriel had stood weeks ago during their first conversation. The Pacific stretched endlessly toward the horizon, dark and vast under the star-filled sky. There's something I haven't told you, she said quietly, not turning around. Gabriel watched her reflection in the window glass. What? The reason I know so much about your company's financial structure, why I recognize those legal terms on your desk. Luna's shoulders tensed. I wasn't just an EMT, Gabriel. I have a degree in forensic accounting. Gabriel's blood went cold. What? Luna turned to face him, her expression unreadable. I specialized in corporate fraud investigation. I worked for the Federal Bureau of Investigation for 3 years before Emma got sick, and I had to leave for a job with better insurance. The office fell deadly silent. Gabriel stared at Luna as if seeing her for the first time, his mind racing through the implications. You're FBI? He said slowly. Was FBI? I resigned 18 months ago. Luna's voice was steady, but Gabriel could see her hands trembling. I'm not working undercover, Gabriel. I'm not investigating you. Duh. I'm just trying to save my sister's life. Gabriel stood slowly, his legs unsteady from both the alcohol and the shock. You could look at those documents and tell me whether there's a way out of this. Luna met his gaze across the desk, both of them balanced on the knife's edge between trust and betrayal. Yes, she whispered. I could. Gabriel's next words would change everything between them. Then help me. Luna spread the financial documents across Gabriel's desk, like tarot cards revealing a devastating future. It was 3 a.m. and they had been working for 6 hours, surviving on black coffee and the desperate energy of people with everything. To lose? Here, Luna pointed to a series of transactions buried deep in the company's subsidiary reports. Your partner, Marcus Chen, has been funneling money through these offshore accounts. But look at the authorization codes. Gabriel leaned closer, his shoulder brushing against hers, as they bent over the papers. Despite everything, Luna felt her pulse quicken at the contact. Those aren't my codes, Gabriel said, squinting at the numbers. No, but they're designed to look like yours. See the pattern? He's been mimicking your digital signature just enough to pass casual inspection, but not enough to fool forensic analysis. Luna traced the paper trail with her finger. He's been stealing from you for 3 years, Gabriel. It's not 5. The first incident was real betrayal, but this is systematic theft. Gabriel sank back in his chair, running his hands through his hair. Can we prove it? You can prove he stole the money. But proving you didn't know, ... double quotes. Luna hesitated. That's harder. The FBI will want to know why you didn't catch this in your own financial reviews, because I trusted him. Because after what happened 5 years ago, I thought I was being paranoid. Enough. Gabriel's voice was bitter. Apparently I wasn't paranoid enough. Luna studied his profile in the lamplight. His usually perfect appearance was disheveled, his shirt wrinkled, the bandage on his forehead slightly crooked. He looked human for the first time since she'd met him. There's something else, she said quietly. The shell companies Marcus created. They're all tied to an account in the Cayman Islands. But the beneficiary isn't Marcus. Gabriel's head snapped up. What? Luna turned her laptop screen toward him. The account belongs to someone named David Reeves. Does that name mean anything? To you? Gabriel's face went white. David Reeves is my stepfather. The revelation hung in the air between them like a loaded gun. Luna stared at Gabriel, watching emotions flicker across his face. Betrayal, rage, and something that looked like broken-hearted. Understanding? Gabriel, he killed my parents. Gabriel's voice was flat, emotionless, not literally. But he was supposed to be driving that night 10 years ago. He was drunk, so my father took the keys. David let him drive on those winding coast roads in the middle of a storm rather than admit he was too intoxicated to get behind the wheel. Luna's training told her to stay objective, to focus on the evidence. But her heart was breaking for the man sitting across from her. After they died, David inherited everything. The house, the company, the money. I had to buy it all back from him when I turned 21. I thought I was finally free of him." Gabriel laughed bitterly. "Turns out he's been bleeding me dry ever since." "We can stop him," Luna said firmly. "The evidence is solid. Marcus is just a middleman. David is the real target." Gabriel looked at her with something approaching hope. "You would do that? Help me destroy my stepfather?" "I would help you reclaim what's yours," Luna corrected. "But Gabriel, once I start this process, there's no going back. The FBI will investigate everything. Every transaction, every decision, every relationship, including ours." Their eyes met across the desk, the weight of unspoken feelings suddenly heavy between them. "What is our relationship?" Gabriel asked quietly. Luna's breath caught. "I don't know, but it's not professional anymore." Gabriel stood slowly, moving around the desk until he was standing directly in front of her chair. Luna tilted her head back to look at him, her heart racing. "Luna, if we do this, if you help me, your FBI background will come out. I want to know why you didn't report your suspicions earlier. Why you helped me instead of calling your former colleagues immediately. I know. They might think you're complicit. You've been working with me from the beginning. I know that too." Gabriel reached down, cupping her face gently in his hands. "Then why would you risk everything for me?" Luna stood, bringing them face to face in the lamplit office. The ocean crashed against the cliffs outside, and somewhere in the distance, dawn was beginning to touch the horizon. Because 18 months ago I thought my career was over and my life was falling apart. I thought the only thing that mattered was keeping Emma alive. Luna's voice was barely above a whisper. "But sitting here with you, working beside you, seeing who you really are behind all these walls you've built, time realized I've been living in survival mode for so long that I forgot what it felt like to actually care about someone." Gabriel's thumb traced across her cheek. "Luna, I care about you, Gabriel. It's more than I should, more than it's smart, more than I can afford. But I do." Gabriel leaned down, his forehead touching hers. For a moment, they stood suspended in the space between confession and action, both knowing that the next few seconds would change everything. Then Luna's laptop chimed with an incoming email notification. They broke apart, both turning toward the screen. Luna's face went ashen as she read the sender's name. "It's from Marcus," she whispered. Gabriel moved behind her, reading over her shoulder as she opened the message. "Gabriel, I know Luna is with you. I know what you've discovered. David wants to make a deal. Meet us at the observatory tomorrow night at midnight, alone, or the FBI gets evidence that you've been laundering money through Montenegro Industries for years. Evidence that will put you in federal prison for the rest of your life. Don't involve your FBI girlfriend in this. We know who she is, and we know about Emma's medical treatments. It would be a shame if something happened to disrupt her care. See you tomorrow night." Gabriel's hands clenched into fists. They're threatening Emma. Luna spun around in her chair, her face pale but determined. "Then we end this tomorrow night." "Luna, no. I won't let you walk into that trap." Luna stood, grabbing Gabriel's hands in hers. "You're not walking into anything alone. We started this together, and we're finishing it together." Gabriel pulled her closer, his arms wrapping around her small frame. "If something happens to you because of me, nothing's going to happen to either of us." Luna looked up at him, her brown eyes fierce with determination. "Because tomorrow night we're going to destroy David Reeves once and for all." Or said the sun rose over the Pacific. Gabriel Montenegro and Luna Hayes stood in each other's arms, preparing for a battle that would either save them both or destroy everything they had found together. The observatory room was bathed in moonlight when Gabriel Suez entered at 11:58 p.m., the domed glass ceiling that had witnessed Luna's vulnerable moment weeks ago now reflected the constellations like a broken mirror, each star fragmented into 1,000 points of light. Marcus Chen stood beside the expensive telescope, his once familiar face twisted with greed and desperation. Beside him, David Reeves leaned casually against the wall, a man in his 60s who had aged well on stolen money. Both men turned as Gabriel approached. "Right on time," David said, his voice carrying the same false warmth Gabriel remembered from childhood. Where's your little FBI girlfriend? Luna isn't part of this, Gabriel replied evenly. This is between family. Marcus laughed harshly. Family, David? He still thinks you actually care about him. I did care, David said, almost sadly. I raised you after your parents died, Gabriel. Taught you everything you know about business. You taught me not to trust anyone. Turns out that was the most valuable lesson you could have given me. Gabriel moved closer to the center of the room, noting the positions of both men. Marcus was nervous, constantly checking his watch. David was calm, confident. That made David the more dangerous one. We have a proposition, David continued. Sign over Montenegro Industries to Marcus. Clean transfer, no questions asked. In return, we don't release the evidence that shows you've been embezzling millions for years. Evidence you fabricated. Evidence that will convince a jury, Marcus snapped. Your digital signatures are all over those transactions, Gabriel. Perfect forgeries. But who's going to believe that? Gabriel smiled coldly. Actually, that's interesting. Because I've been wondering how you manage such perfect forgeries. They're really quite impressive. David's eyes narrowed slightly. What's your point? My point is that creating forgeries that's sophisticated requires inside knowledge of Montenegro. Industry security protocols. Knowledge that Marcus lost access to when I fired him 5 years ago. Gabriel's voice remained conversational, almost friendly. So either Marcus is a much better hacker than I gave him credit for, or someone with current access has been helping him. Marcus's face went pale. Gabriel, what are you trying to say? I'm saying that the only person who could have helped Marcus create those forgeries is someone who still has administrative access to our systems, someone I trusted completely. Gabriel's steel-gray eyes fixed on David, someone like the chairman, emeritus of Montenegro Industries' board of directors. David's mask of false warmth finally slipped. You always were too smart for your own good. Not smart enough, apparently. It took Luna's forensic analysis to show me that the theft has been going on for 3 years, not 5. 3 years since you convinced me to give you an honorary position on the board? Since you gained access to our internal systems?
Not touching.
But irrelevant. David straightened, producing a gun from his jacket. You're going to sign those papers, Gabriel, or I'm going to shoot you and claim you attacked us during a business meeting gone wrong. Gabriel didn't flinch. It's like you let my father drive drunk that night. Like you've been stealing from me for years while pretending to care. Your father chose to drive. I didn't force him.
Oh.
You just failed to stop him. It's just like you're failing. To stop yourself now? David raised the gun, pointing it directly at Gabriel's chest. Sign the papers. No. Marcus stepped forward, panic in his voice. Gabriel, just sign them. We don't want to hurt you. Of course you do, Gabriel said calmly. You've been hurting me for years. The only difference is that now you're being honest about it. David's finger moved to the trigger. Last chance, Gabriel. Before you pull that trigger, David, you might want to look up. Both men instinctively glanced toward the domed ceiling. In the moonlight filtering through the glass, they could see a small device mounted near the telescope's base. A camera, its red recording light blinking steadily. You disabled that camera weeks ago, Marcus said, confusion in his voice. I disabled the old camera, Gabriel corrected. Luna installed a new one yesterday, wireless encrypted, broadcasting directly to FBI servers. Everything you've said tonight, every confession, every threat, it's all been recorded. David's face went white with rage. You son of a bitch. Actually, I'm my mother's son. And she would be proud that I finally learned to stop trusting people who don't deserve it. The gun in David's hand wavered. Where is she? Where's Luna? Right here. Luna's voice came from the doorway behind them. She stepped into the moonlight, no longer wearing her gray cleaning uniform. Dead. She was dressed in a crisp FBI windbreaker, her credentials visible on her chest. Luna Hayes, Federal Bureau of Investigation, she announced calmly. David Reeves, Marcus Chen, you're both under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud, embezzlement, and extortion. Marcus spun toward her. You resigned from the FBI? I took a leave of absence. Turns out they were very interested in reactivating me for this particular case. Luna's brown eyes were steady, professional, especially when I told them about the threats against my sister. David swung the gun toward Luna, but Gabriel was already moving. He tackled his stepfather from behind, sending them both crashing to the marble floor. The gun skittered across the room as federal agents poured through the observatory's entrances. In the chaos of arrests and handcuffs, Gabriel found himself sitting against the wall, watching Luna coordinate with her FBI colleagues. She moved, with confident authority, every inch the federal agent she had trained to be. When the room finally cleared except for the two of them, Luna approached Gabriel slowly. "Are you hurt?" she asked softly. "No, just confused." Gabriel looked up at her from his position on the floor. "How long have you been working undercover?" Luna sank down beside him, her back against the same wall. "I wasn't working undercover when I started here, Gabriel. I really did need the job, the insurance. Everything I told you was true. But when I realized what was happening, when I saw the evidence of the embezzlement, I called my former supervisor. They reactivated my status and asked me to help build a case." Gabriel stared out at the ocean through the glass ceiling. "So everything between us was part of an investigation?" "No." Luna's voice was fierce. "Gabriel, look at me." Turned to meet her eyes. "Everything I felt, everything I told you about, caring for you, that was real. The FBI assignment was professional. What happened between us was personal." Gabriel studied her face in the moonlight. "How do I know the difference?" Luna reached for his hand, intertwining their fingers. "Because I just quit the FBI again. For real this time." Gabriel's eyes widened. "What?" "I told them that after tonight I'm done. I'm not cut out for undercover work when it involves lying to people I care about." Luna's voice was soft but determined. "And I care about you, Gabriel Montenegro. The billionaire, not the case subject, not the employer. You." Gabriel squeezed her hand gently. "What happens now?" "Now you rebuild Montenegro Industries without David and Marcus bleeding it dry. Now Emma gets to finish high school and go to college without worrying about medical bills. Now we figure out what comes next." Gabriel was quiet for a long moment, processing everything that had changed in the span of a few hours. "Luna, I need you to know something." "What?" "That day in the observatory, when I saw you on the security feed," Gabriel's voice was barely above a whisper. "Why?" "It wasn't just about protecting your privacy or doing the right thing." Luna turned to face him fully. "What do you mean?" "That in that moment, watching you handle an impossible situation with such grace and dignity, I realized I had never met anyone like you. Strong and vulnerable at the same time. Real in a way that no one in my world ever is." Gabriel's steel gray eyes met hers. "I deleted that footage because it was the right thing to do. But I disabled the camera because I was already falling in love with you, and I needed to protect that." Luna's breath caught. "Gabriel, I know it's complicated. I know there are 1,000 reasons why this doesn't make sense. But Luna, if you'll have me, if you can trust me after everything that's happened, I want to try." Luna leaned closer, her forehead touching his. "I've been in survival mode for so long that I forgot what it felt like to want something just because. It made me happy. You make me happy, Gabriel. Scared and confused and completely out of my depth, but happy." Gabriel cupped her face in his hands, his thumbs brushing away tears she didn't realize she had shed. "So what do we do now?" Luna smiled, the first genuinely joyful expression he had ever seen on her face. "Now, we start over. No security cameras, no secrets, no FBI investigations. Just you and me, figuring out what comes next." Gabriel leaned down and kissed her softly, moonlight streaming through the shattered reflections of the observatory's glass ceiling. Around them, the fragments of his old life lay in ruins. But for the first time in years, Gabriel Montenegro felt something he had almost forgotten existed. Hope. 6 months later, Luna found Gabriel in the same observatory room, but everything had changed. The space had been transformed into an office where she managed the employee wellness program for the rebuilt Montenegro Industries. The telescope remained, but now it shared space with her desk and Emma's art supplies from her weekend visits. "How was the board meeting?" Luna asked, looking up from the college acceptance letters spread across her desk. Emma had been accepted to 5 universities, all with full scholarships funded by the Montenegro Foundation. "Boring," Gabriel said. loosening his tie as he sat on the edge of her desk. Quarterly reports, profit margins, expansion plans. Nothing as interesting as what you're working on. Luna held up one of the letters. Emma can't decide between Stanford and MIT. She says she wants to study both computer science and medicine, help develop technology for cancer treatment. Gabriel smiled. She gets that determination from her sister. She gets that stubbornness from her sister, Luna corrected, but she was smiling too. Gabriel picked up one of Emma's drawings from the desk. A watercolor painting of the observatory room with two figures silhouetted against the starlit ceiling. She's talented. She's happy. For the first time since her diagnosis, she's thinking about the future instead of just surviving the present. Set the painting down carefully, then took Luna's hands in his. Speaking of the future, there's something I want to ask you. Luna's heart started racing as Gabriel slid off the desk and dropped to one knee beside her chair. He produced a small velvet box from his jacket pocket. Luna Hayes, you've already saved my life, my company, and my faith in humanity. You've shown me that trust isn't a weakness, and that love isn't a luxury I can't afford. Gabriel opened the box to reveal a simple, elegant ring that caught the moonlight streaming through the glass ceiling. Will you marry me? Luna stared at him, tears streaming down her face. Gabriel, before you answer, he said quickly, you should know that I'm offering you a partnership, not just a marriage. Montenegro Industries needs someone with your skills and integrity. Emma needs college tuition and someone to walk her down the aisle someday. And I need you, Luna. Not because you saved me, but because you make me want to be worth saving. Luna slipped out of her chair and onto her knees in front of him, taking his face in her hands. Gabriel Montenegro, I fell in love with you the night I found you bleeding in your office, and you trusted me with your secrets. I'll marry you, but only if you promise me something. Anything. Promise me that we'll never stop being honest with each other. No more walls. No more cameras. No more secrets. Gabriel slipped the ring onto her finger, then kissed her deeply as moonlight painted silver patterns across the observatory floor. I promise, he whispered against her lips. No more secrets. Above them, the stars shone through the glass ceiling, like diamonds scattered across black velvet. Witnessing the moment when two broken people finally found their way home to each other. The end.